the GAA being for everybody is the most important part. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your capacity is, whether you're good, bad or indifferent at it.
We can understand the power a role model has on young kids.
If you can't see it, you can't be it.
Sport has no barriers. You're all just playing with the same common goal to enjoy and have fun. Today, guys, we're here to talk about inclusion and cultural diversity within the GAA. So I might start off with my own experiences and kind of my own story. I was born in Pakistan and moved to Ireland when I was 4 years old. Went to lovely Balhadreen, County Roscommon, Mayo maybe, but I'll go with the Mayo side of things. Andy Moran got me involved with the school, primary school team. The first couple of times, picking the ball up off the ground, hand pass, that sort of thing was non-existent. But luckily over time now I was able to develop that. And from there I suppose I've had a really positive experience in a lot of parts. Went on to represent Mayo at underage level, under 21 level, and I represented the senior team for a short period of time as well. Moving on from that then, I suppose I've been able to get my studies out of it. I got a scholarship to DCU and TU Dublin, so it's helped in that end. Then my business has led from that as well, so I run a sportswear company that has come all from the GAA side of things. So I suppose all them things have been positive. So from that I might go over to Christoph and ask him about his story to date and how he got involved with the GAA in Ballymun.
I come to Ireland in 2006. After 6 months later, my son and my wife has come here. And my son had started the school in Ballymun Road in Our Lady of Victory. And his teacher in the school is Paddy Christie. And you know very well Paddy, and he's captain in the Dublin. And my son had started to play the Gaelic in the school, and after get the invite for the Ballymun Kickhams training. That's my first contact with the GAA and the Gaelic. And I go with him for the first training, and it's a big surprise for me what's happened. I completely no understood the rules and and then how to play and why is the 15 guys on the pitch, no 11, because I'm a soccer man. And yeah, that's my first contact. And I start to help to Paddy and in the club and refill the bottles, wash the bibs and jersey or whatever. And after Paddy's got the position for the manager for football minors in County Board Dublin, he's invited me for the team. That I start to involve the GAA in the county panel. And yeah, 7 years I'm involved the minor footballers, and the last 3 years I say to go to promotion for the senior team and the hurling panel, and I really enjoy them. I meet lots of positive situation in my life from the GAA, from the players, from the parents, from the supporters. I really enjoy them.
Yeah, you've had quite a fascinating journey, I suppose, coming from just going up and watching it to suddenly being the kit man for a lot of teams, and now you're involved with Dublin hurlers as well.
Yeah, now the hurlers, I still always involved as well, the Ballymun Kickhams, the senior team. And before, when Paddy is the manager in Trinity College, I go with him in Trinity College. And after he's go to DCU, and I'm involved with him the DCU last 5 years. That's, I really enjoy, and very busy, I really enjoy.
I'm not sure if people actually realise the importance of the kitman's role. You're kind of everybody's best friend, but then you also have to be at training about 2 hours before training and 2 hours after. So
exactly.
A lot of respect for what you do.
100%. It's the hardest job there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Has to be, yeah.
But some CV that he's developed too, like coming from no background of GAA to suddenly being involved with about 4 teams in one go.
If you like the sports, that is no problem for you. I'd really enjoy to come in before. That's what is nice when the players is coming after work, after school, independent, what he's doing. It's really enjoy to come in and everything is ready for him.
Yeah.
He only
100%.
concentrate for the training. That's my point. Why it's nice to come too early and do everything for the lads.
Again, that's been another positive story from the GAA and immigrants coming to the country and doing so well out of it.
I remember when I started in Ballymun Kickhams, and we go to camp, and there is the manager, Paddy is the manager, and the chairman is the Declan Small. And I remember we sit down at the table together, and he say, Christoph, we don't care where you're from. We don't care where is other people from. It's white, black, yellow. We are family. We are GAA family. We are Ballymun family.
sport can be a very, very important tool to be utilised. Like sport has no barriers. Like your experience is Ballina, there's people from all sorts of communities coming and playing, but nobody's going, oh well, he's from there, he's from there. You're all just playing with the same common goal to enjoy and have fun.
Yeah, I think firstly what you said about the GAA being for everybody is the most important part. Like it's a sport at the end of the day. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your capacity is, whether you're good, bad or indifferent at it. If you want to be involved, you want to be involved, and it's a beautiful way to get involved. I came over from England and it was the first way to make friends, and I assume that's the same for both you guys, that like it was a great way to engage with the community, make friends and build relationships, and then you start feeling like I'm part of something here, and you can go from there. It's class. We have a diverse group in Ballina. We have people from all over the place, and it's great. I think at the most part people are treated really, really well. I think it's really important we try and open the door and make it clear that there is a space for everybody, because we're missing out on that, and there are young people missing out on football and friendships and relationships and all the good things that come from the GAA club.
Yeah, I think an important part you touched on is being made welcome and the fun aspect. So when I first started playing, like I mentioned, I didn't know any of the rules. I didn't know the sport, I didn't watch the sport, but all of my friends in school were talking about it, or the game later in the day, or we played yesterday, we won such and such a game. So I was like, I feel a bit left out. I want to be a part of this. I want to make friends. So that's why I initially joined. I was no good at the sport. It was to make friends, to stay involved with my friends and be able to say, okay, I'm involved in these sort of things. But then the other side of it was being welcomed, you know, by the coaches, by the other parents, by my friends, to stick up with the sport even when you're not good. So I think it's the sport structures that go around it that can be improved regardless of your playing ability, that you're kept in the sport, because sport is for everyone, you know.
Yeah, can I ask about that? Is like, you said you weren't great when you started. You got fairly good at football. We've clashed ourselves. You're a very, very good footballer. Do you think you would have been treated the same way as the years went on? As you progressed to become an exceptional footballer, people are now looking at you going, you know, there's value in this young lad. We want him playing. So do you think, let's say on the other hand, that you weren't as good and you didn't develop, but you still wanted to be part of the club, do you think you would have been treated the same way? You would have been given the same opportunities?
I think this is a bit of a political answer. I'd like to give the benefit of doubt to my local community that I would have been, but I know examples of people that haven't been because of their playing ability. They weren't treated and they weren't supported in the way I would have liked to be treated and supported. So I was going to touch on racism a little bit later. So I was racially abused on the pitch a number of times when I was younger. But because of my playing ability, I feel the club really, really supported me and stood up for me. My friends and stuff surrounded me, and I was in a really good circle, which is very, very positive. But I know people that haven't had that support structure. So coming from a minority group and you're playing sport as a break from a lot of things, so your family could be struggling financially, you could have sickness, you're fleeing from war, there could be a number of reasons that you've come to Ireland and you're in that area, and you're using sport to get away from it all. The next thing, you're being abused on a pitch.
Just like, had you come to Ireland a bit later, let's just say had you met Andy Moore in secondary school, right, taking up football at 15, could you have seen yourself to keep playing it at that age? You know what I mean? I think it's possibly slightly easier for us for people to develop at a sport when they take it up from a younger age. But so if you had come to Ireland at a later stage, we'll just say,
yep,
would you have seen yourself to keep continuing to play, or would you get discouraged? Because we all know as soon as you get to under 14 or 16, and it's probably the wrong mindset, but it's all about winning when you get to that stage. You know what I mean? It's
about winning, and there's a lot of other distractions as well. So I think that's where the sports structures come in again.
Yeah.
Do you know, when people are coming from a completely different part of the world, they don't know the rules, they might know the language. So it's getting them involved, but providing them with the sports, whether that's extra training or putting on a group of people that might be at the same skill level. I know you touched on Football for All, so obviously there's Irish people there as well that mightn't be as good at it, but they could benefit from extra training sessions. So making a group there, and then the other side is the language side. So maybe the government could do more, provide funding for GAA clubs. The GAA might be able to provide funding where you might be able to get a translator in, because a lot of people initially coming to the country struggle with language. Like, my parents are here 20 years, and my mum has very little English, my dad is okay English. But roll back 20 years, they were just nodding yes and no, and even at that, they were probably saying yes and nodding no. So a translator might be able to help
And it's not
Explain.
English you're learning over here, it's a fine twist on English. Like you try and understand David and then try and understand me. It's a
Or
big
somebody
difference.
from
Like.
Cork or somebody from Dublin, you know,
That's
so
what I mean, yeah.
there's a lot of other difficulties to that as well. So I suppose it's getting the sports structures right, and then educating the coaches and the other players of what the other person might be experiencing, so they're aware and they can maybe help out and assist. So I think that'd go a long way for somebody that's a little bit older, I think. I'll come to you finally then. You've grown up in Kerry, you've played at all sorts of levels, and now you're teaching in Kerry as well. Have you come across racism on the field, off the field in Kerry, and do you mind talking to me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I suppose, look, like you said, I suppose having played in Kerry since I was a child and played a lot of different sports, it would have sort of been the norm, where there would have been people and players from different cultures involved in our teams all the time, which was great. And as Padraig touched on earlier, some of the lads would have been the best players we would have had. So again, and it's not that I'm trying to speak for them or anything. So I would like to think that in the main it was an inclusive and a welcoming environment for them. I suppose you touched on the school element of it, yeah. So I'm lucky enough to be a PE teacher at the moment. But I suppose the key issue there is number one, I suppose we have access to our GA coaches in primary schools with the GDAs and the GPOs and stuff like that. But as we get onto secondary school, we probably just don't have that luxury. Like, so we have 1 hour of PE a week essentially to try and bring these students along with us. We're trying to be inclusive. We're trying to involve every student. But at the same time, there's a curriculum to cover, which GA is only one element of. So I think there's definitely scope for the GA at central level, like to roll out, whether it's more coaches, whether it's more programs, whether it's us, the PE teachers, to run the programs, where we can include these students in the GA in particular, because I suppose it's well noted the power the GA has. It's well noted, and from my experiences, similar to yourselves, being part of the GA family has brought so many opportunities for me, and it's brought me opportunities to meet most of my friends and college and different things like that. So I think the fact that we are receiving immigrants at a higher age at the moment, with there's teenagers coming to the school. They're not really having access to the GA. They might have access to the GA for an hour once every 5 or 6 weeks. And it's obviously a lot harder at that age to go and join their local club, because that club is trying to win their championship. They're trying to beat their closest rivals. So I think there's definitely scope for the GA to roll out both programs and to have more personnel on the ground to be GA specific, to be able to include these new opportunities is what it is for the GA.
What I'd like to see happen, I'm not sure if you agree or disagree with me on this, is education being provided. So if a child is maybe racially abusing another child, they're not aware. A lot of people are they're affected by the environment that surrounds them. So if they're, I suppose, hearing from the likes of yourselves, Padraig, all the big names, and the power of GA and the social media in today's world, I think that could have a huge impact on them. So I'd hate for somebody to be pushed out and get a year's ban, I'm not sure if any of you views on that.
100%.
I
Agree or
completely
disagree
agree.
with it.
It's an excellent idea. It's proactive, do you know what I mean? Like, bans don't work, things like that don't work, they push people away, it's the same in the criminal justice system. It's about education, and the reason why people are, subject to racial comments is usually from lack of education or lack of understanding, and it's obviously more prevalent there in your teen years, because again, you haven't received the education depending on how you've grown up or what you've seen or what you haven't seen. So like, education is definitely the way forward. Instead of, as you said, pushing people out, let's try and give them the information they need and give them the opportunity to grow.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that goes back to the government or the GA then to help roll out programs like that in school and in GA clubs, but I think there can be more that can be done on that.
And I think that can be done at, look, we were all aware of the time, particularly inter-county players, but club GA players and stuff like that, put into the game. And a lot of the time it can go and it can affect their studies, it can affect them at a leaving cert level, actually physically having the time to put in the study for their leaving cert. So if those are the people who maybe we can actually keep working in those areas. So can we keep GA players working in those areas to roll out through the schools? Number one, because they're GA people. Number two, because the GA has given them so much, so we're all willing to give back. And then finally, I suppose, we can understand exactly, like you said, the power of being a role model has on young kids. So potentially, if the message is coming from inter-county players, it is more likely to actually surface with the kids.
you're going to be the face of Gaelic football for the next couple of years, whether you like it or you don't. Like, we've all heard the stories where you've been on a pitch after a club game for hours and hours signing autographs. So the positive influence that you have on young people and people in general and other people like that, I think the GAA need to utilise and kind of use the resources that they have to positively influence society, you know, at community level.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
I'm going to come back to you, Christoph. I know I touched on the language part earlier. Obviously, you came to Ireland growing up as an adult. You would have had difficulty with language. How did you find, I suppose, getting involved with Ballymun, not having the language, and what can be done for people from Polish backgrounds, other minority backgrounds that don't have language either?
Yeah, that's what you said. I come to Ireland when I'm 32 years old. That's when I learn in school when I'm younger. It's only Russian language because there's communism and the big brother is Russian. That's I never have the contact before for English like your parents as well, and that's very low speak and understood before. And what is the problem in the language barrier? I try to find something on the internet or from different social media, the rules about the GAA, okay? And I'm nothing some be translate like the rules for the different language. That's maybe the people have the problem sometimes to understand, especially the people what is come here and is no good speak English. It's no understand the rules, what's happened on the game, you know them. And when I start to interest them, and Paddy Christie, that's what I said before, it's very helped me them, and he's teach me like the school, how is the rules in GAA, why the players is play that, why is 15s, why many soups and everything, you know them. That's when I start to understand them. After I think, what's say to other people, how to involve the GAA, why must you come and involve the GAA? Because that's what I say, I'm 32 when I come here and I never have the contact before with GAA. I never hear about the GAA. Only when I go the first training with my son, and it's a big surprise for me. I think would be important for the school, because you are teaching as well, that's probably be good idea. It's make any brochures for the kids and give it the parents, especially the parents, because the kids have the contact in the school with the friends, play together on the PE or whatever. Just the parents is completely not understood, you know, like when the people is coming like from me, from Poland or from France, for Germany, whatever, and Ukraine, or that's the people is more important than there, it's soccer. You know, everyone knows the soccer because it's very popular on the world. Just the GAA is contact only here, the first one. And the people, it stayed like back because it's completely not understood what's happened there, what's the rules, and that's the first steps in the school, especially when now is the new generation, the people like my daughter, like the young kids, what is growing now under 7, 8, 9. That's the first blood from GAA is in the school. That's you probably knows that it is I think it's no enough the PE in the school. The teachers sometimes don't have the time to explain the kids from the older culture how is the rules, why the GAA is that's important here in Ireland, you know. That's what is more important as well, the clubs, the regional clubs like the Ballymun Kickhams or whatever, must be make more open days for the kids. Just not only make on the social media information, in Ballymun is open day today, welcome to go. Because the people who's coming from emigrate, he didn't know the name, the clubs, and the local. And he didn't know the website for them. That's when the kids get the brochures in the school. Welcome to the training. We have the open group from age 7 to under 14 or whatever. That is completely different mentality, you know, because he's coming there, the kids spend a nice time with the friends. That's what you say, the friendship in the school, you know them. You say as well, you have the friends in the school and you start to involve them. You want to play because the guys is talking about the game. We play, we train them. That's what is interest. Just the parents at home, it stay back. He didn't know what's happened, you know them. That's the educate for the parents as well, like about the brochures, because not everyone have the time to talking with each parents on the meeting or whatever. Just that, yeah. The
Do you
school
think
is important.
maybe brochures, maybe then in the specific languages, would that help then
Yeah,
your
yeah,
case and other
as
cases
well.
to understand the sport and get involved with the sport?
Exactly, yeah. Especially now is the situation and on the world is the lots of Ukraine refugees there. Just when you print the brochures for the kids for the Ukraine language, there'll be more understands for the parents as well, because the parents have the different view now, is afraid and the family what is stay in Ukraine or what's happened there with the father, mother or whatever. Just when he's get that and he read from his language and he watching there and he say, oh, someone is interest for us because that's our language. That is more positive for the lads, for the people.
Yeah, I think like the ethos of Ireland is Céad Míle Fáilte. What better way to, I suppose, get involved with the community? We talked about Christoph integrating and other parents then integrating. Like my own parents wouldn't have been able to make friends in the community if I didn't get involved in sport. So it's not just for the kids, it's for the adults as well, and the parents to get to know the people in the area and feel welcome. So that was just the last piece I wanted to add to it. Is there any little things that you think could be done in terms of solutions and improving GA as a whole to get more people involved?
I think the big factor is, and I think it's a general mindset that is within the GA. I briefly touched on it earlier around the competitive nature and having to win regardless of the age, regardless of the team, regardless of the competition. Our mindset is we want to win. I think we have to probably scale that back a small bit, where when we have new members joining, it has to be more about the real things we get from the GA. Like the winning is great, look, of course, but we make friends, you're active, you're meeting new people, all these things. We have to put more of a focus on that. And that can be difficult because you go to a smaller club and they have an under-14 team and they need maybe 15 players, so anyone that comes is on the 15. Then you realise this isn't for me, it's too difficult.
I suppose it gets lost then depending on who's involved in what clubs. Everybody's a volunteer. People only have a certain amount of time. And in fairness, everything is voluntary. And you have some people that have more time, maybe more education or more passion driven. You've got a specific passion now because of your experience. So you'd like to see, like yourself, go on and then be an advocate to make it a little bit easier for people maybe in the same situations. I think some of the points that were brought up today, though, are fantastic. And even from my point of view, I would never have thought of that. We're running a GA for All Inclusion Day. Would I have thought of changing the language there? And even the way you said it about getting it to the children and then it coming back to the parents. And exactly how you said you were so interested through the students in school. I could see you going home with this leaflet to mum and dad and going, I need to do this, I want to do this. And you know what happens, we have kids, we all have kids. Like, you're going to do it, of course you're going to do it, and that's going to get you involved. And we get one more family involved, they've got friends in the community, there's another family involved, and it just rolls on from there. So I think some of the stuff that was spoken about today, really, really beneficial.
Yeah, I think the message, I suppose, then is to be a little bit more proactive and for the GA to utilise some of the personalities, like even your case there when you were fundraising for the Sensory Park, you got a lot of support from the local community and a lot of people in Mayo. So there is support there for, I suppose, inter-county footballers that are the face of the sport. So I think they can be utilised and get a powerful message across to the general population.
And the nice things, I think, be good idea as well what the GAA may do it for the people from other culture when it's common. Because we're talking about here about my son when he's younger, you younger when you're coming. Just what's happened with the people who's coming here the first for the immigration when he's 20, 25 years old. Maybe something to do for the groups as well for the training, because I know the people who's coming together, go to play the soccer, he rent the hall and go to play and meet together, and after it's sit down and go to dinner together. And maybe it's the GAA is do something as well for the adults, like the junior league. We have them just is play the players what is finish the career and want to still be fit is play there. I know that good few people who's work here what is come and finish the career in Poland from the soccer, professional soccer Polish player, and we really enjoy to play here for the Gaelic, because it's very fit and enjoy them to be played them. Just the club is now have the offer for adults at this moment. That's what I think.
They don't have the facilities to facilitate people that are in their late 20s or mid 20s
Yeah.
to play. Yeah, so I think that's where, again, support structures where you touched on, and you touched on whether that was in secondary school, but Christoph's just pushed it on a little bit more to the people that are a little bit older. I think that was everything.